Movie Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Wars podcast. Woo-hoo! I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
And we got, go ahead.
I'm Josh.
Josh Lewis, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Josh.
I'm Josh. One of the most, I'm trying to describe you, man. Like you stand with.
He's an enigma.
He's the longest, one of the longest standing. That's funny. One of the longest standing Nashville comedians. And you were here when I started, like 12 years ago.
I am a testament why you should move from Nashville. If you want success, get out.
Yeah. He put me on my first open mic.
Really?
Yeah. First open mic I ever did was at the East Room, and I was dead last.
Yeah.
Good times.
How was it?
I got like 2 chuckles, maybe 3, and like 1 actual laugh. And then I told you afterwards, I was like, hey, thanks. This was my first time ever. And you were like, oh, shit, you should have told everyone. You would have killed. That was great.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what you should always do.
Yeah.
You should always milk that. Oh, it's my
Yeah.
first time for like 4 open mics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never did either, and I saw other people do it, and people instantly loved them, and I was like, I have made a horrible mistake. By coming up here, oh, I'm a pro, and
Yeah.
you just bomb
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah.
But then you have to be like, I'm not really a pro, and everybody's like, yeah, we know, dude. We absolutely know.
It was a good time, though.
I think one of the things that most people would say about you is like when you're first starting comedy in Nashville, you're one of the kindest, most welcoming people. I always remember like first meeting you and you're just like, hey, what's up? You know, and that's not the case. If you don't do stand up, that's not all comedians. So thank you for that.
Hey, no problem, man. Whenever you get washed to the bottom, only thing you could do is just be like, hey, guys, just keep trying. That's all you got to do.
One of you might make it.
What do y'all might make it? Remember me or forgive. I don't care either way. I'm stuck.
Well, it sounds like Seth reached out to you about Judge Dredd and Dredd, and you were in.
Totally in. I watched these movies. I probably watched the first one. I'm old enough. The first one, I remember watching it on illegal cable, which I grew up with.
Nice.
And watching it and just being like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was 2 years old when it came out in 1995.
I was 57.
I just got back from...
He's 130. He looks great for his age.
I got bit by Brad Pitt back in the 90s.
I just got back from Korea.
Just got back from Korea. I'm just over here like jamming to the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy or whatever.
There you go.
We didn't call it PTSD back then. We called it Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, we call it Get Over It.
Put some dirt on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. And how did you first encounter it? Oh, you just watched
This is the first time I've ever seen it. I've known it existed, but I watched the remake before I watched this one, like when it came out. And 18-year-old Seth was definitely like very freaked out by how hyper violent the remake was. So seeing the PG-13 Sylvester Stallone version was kind of very whiplashy for me.
Yeah.
This was
very weird.
The only way I can describe this movie is like the director couldn't let go of the 80s, but also found out about computer animation.
Yeah.
Like this was just stylistically format, like down to just the way the script ended up getting written was just 80s action B movie to a T. But again, somehow there's like actually okay animation for 1995.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it had great animation.
For 95, yeah. It's quite good. It definitely, obviously now looking back on it, it's very easy to tell for like 90% of it, like, oh yeah, okay. And like a lot of the falling over the green screen like kind of looked like shit. But I was genuinely impressed by how good it looked for 95.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird experience for me because old Movie Wars fans will know that my idols growing up were Arnold and Sly.
Yeah.
Worship those guys, Commando, Terminator, Rambo, like 80s action is my favorite genre, and it's not even close, and it's what I grew up on. Watched it way too young, like a lot of us did. You know, it's like my dad's like, well, it kind of looks like an American hero. I'll just put him fucking on there. But it was painful to watch this, and there's a lot of reasons for what you said about stuck in the 80s. It wasn't actually the director; it was the fact that Sylvester Stallone kind of hanging on to the last rung, you know, and for those that don't know, like, and this worked in the 80s because Sly was such a huge deal, and him and Arnold had that battle. They literally were battling, and they would talk shit to each other. When one would make more money, he's like, I got to make more money, and he killed more people. There was literally this conversation they had about the fact that Sly used a bigger knife in Rambo, and so Arnold's like, I got to get a bigger knife in a movie. Like, there was this petty bullshit. And Sly, he would rewrite and basically backseat direct movies a lot in the 80s. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Cobra.
Oh,
And he totally pissed off the director so much that when Sly would leave the set surrounded by bodyguards, like he literally wouldn't even talk to the other actors, and he had bodyguards at all time. The real director would scream at people like, "Rah!" like he was trying to take the movie back, and Sly would come back, he'd be like, he would straighten up. And so Sly would do this continually, and he did it on this movie, but the problem is it's 1995. That brand of action is starting to die off.
Oh, yeah.
We're entering the Michael Bay era, which I think there are 3 or 4 factors that really shifted away from the oily muscle star centered action, and that was adrenaline infused constant action, which is like the Michael Bay, The Rock, Point Break with Keanu Reeves. And we're also seeing new action stars that are, yes, attractive, kind of jacked, but more of an everyman compared to Arnold and Sly, who are more Herculean. We've got Keanu Reeves, Bruce Willis with Die Hard, starting to change the way we view action. And then it's 1995. We had Last Action Hero in 1993, which was kind of a failure in a lot of ways, and Arnold still hates it. But
really?
Yeah, Arnold does not like that.
I need to rewatch that movie because I thought it was phenomenal.
Oh,
it made fun of action movies.
I loved it.
Probably why he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he had to at least had somebody read the script, right?
Yeah.
Before he took it and be like, oh, this is making fun of action movies?
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think, but sometimes that just slips through the cracks.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you just start waving big fat dollars.
Yeah. Especially if you're used to, as an action hero, getting picked for a role and then basically having the script written around you.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the format of the late 70s through the 80s, was they would be like, we need to make an action movie. Who's going to star in it? Oh, okay, Arnold. Okay, we'll make it like this. Like that's how that would happen a lot. So I would not be surprised if he was just like, the last action hero. That sounds like a badass role. I'll do it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess whenever I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's like his roles were always, to me, the best. Because, I mean, you bring him out as like he was like Hercules or whatever. At the beginning.
Conan the Barbarian.
No.
He was Hercules in New York.
Oh, was he also Hercules?
Yeah, that was his very first role.
Oh,
he didn't even speak English.
Yeah. It was like overdubbed. And then
that's fun.
next thing you move on to like Conan and stuff, which I think Conan and the Terminator are the roles that he didn't even know were written for him. I think the people that were writing them didn't even know. Of course, I think Conan was
It was,
Yeah, just like these Dredd movies.
But again, those are what set him up as the action hero of the late 70s through the 80s. So it's
they fucked up. Can I say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. All day long.
They fucked up majorly whenever they just started making him not an unstoppable killing machine. Like except for Predator. Predator, you got to give him a little lines here and there and stuff. Terminator and Terminator 2, obviously, phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He just walked around like a menace.
Yeah, literally.
Conan the Barbarian, which I rewatched probably 4 or 5 months ago for the first time, and since I was drunk as hell during like the whole pandemic. I'm pretty sure I watched it during that.
Yeah.
It's just whenever you just give him like, hey, you're just going to walk around and be big and menacing.
Yeah.
Let somebody else do the heavy lifting for the acting part. You're just going to act like Conan the Barbarian, whatever you think that is.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And he just stands.
Yeah.
He swings a sword.
And the weird thing, like comparing him to Sly, is like Rocky is such a compelling drama. A lot of people say it's a boxing movie, it's a sports movie. Rocky 1 is not a sports movie.
Right.
No, it's
because
not.
there's barely any sport in that movie. It is a character-driven, emotional drama. And even though he was kind of playing a caricaturized version of himself in the way that he wrote Rocky, the acting is still incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
He's a solid actor. It's just for whatever reason, as he got deeper into the action roles, it's like he just got lazy and stopped trying. Because is it just me, or was he having a stroke every time he spoke in this movie?
Well,
just like, it was so bad.
Well, that's his thing. And kind of going back to the story of this movie, like he was doing that again, where he was rewriting, interfering. He was basically backseat directing this movie.
Yeah.
This actually, and I have a rando about this, when this movie first was finalized, it was rated NC-17.
Oh, God.
It was. But Sly was not only making him write funny lines, he wanted to do his one-liners, which is something that was dying off from this old breed of comedy or this old breed of action we were talking about.
Yeah.
But they also, and the problem is too, is the studio was always on Sly's side.
Yeah, of course, because he's the star.
He's
Yeah.
an ATM.
Yeah, and the director didn't stand a chance. And so when Sly and they wanted it to be PG-13, they wanted it to be funny, they wanted it to be more accessible, they wanted to make more money.
Yeah.
So they made all these changes because of that, and that is how we actually got it. Apparently, it was much more violent. There's a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor that's much darker, and that's actually the director wanted to do what happened in 2012.
Yeah.
Dredd. That actually was his vision, but he basically didn't stand a chance when it got Slide.
I mean, he would have been way ahead of its time. I don't think the 90s would have been ready for that level of like hyper violence in the way that they would have done it.
See, I think completely different.
The
because
90s
you got to
was
think
a weird
94 had Pulp Fiction, which a lot of people were like, "Oh my god." And
that was an
opened up-
outlier, though.
But it opened up a whole genre of those indie films that
It's
were
true.
always kind of a heist film or somebody getting in a bad situation that can only end in violence.
That is true.
And people flock to that. And I think that's another reason why a comic book like Judge Dredd, where it's just an ultra violent person, going around doing semi-lawful things. It's basically the Punisher.
Yeah.
Is all he is. I think people saw that and just went, okay, this is how we get your Gen X 20-something to come back to the theater for a popcorn. And we're going to do this, but how are we going to do it? And then I feel like the first movie just had so many smudges and fingerprints of bigwigs sitting around the table being like, well, how do we sell the Happy Meal part at McDonald's?
Yeah.
How do we sell these toys at Toys R Us? How do we do this? We got to have, like you were saying earlier, maybe it was you, I can't remember, who said we got to have some one-liners and shit in there. We got to have like somebody to be funny because this violence is too much.
Yeah.
And then you're going to bring in Rob Schneider, which was just the worst part of the whole movie.
And I like Rob Schneider.
Yeah, same.
And that's what I'm saying. And the absolute worst part of the movie. But on the other side, I don't know if we can jump into the other movie.
We can talk about it, but yeah, we'll do a whole episode on that one too.
Okay. It just in the compare and contrast is that almost the 12 or 2013 one?
2012, yeah.
It's almost where I was like, it wouldn't be bad to have a occasionally.
See, that was the thing was like I rewatched it last night and I was every now and then it would have a nod back to the original movie in that Carl Urban would have one of those little one-liners or Anderson would have one of the one-liners, and it happened just enough because I was talking to the person I was watching with and I was like, this happens maybe 10% of the amount of times it happens in the 95 movie, and this was like just enough that I still felt the tension of the situation they're in the movie, but I wasn't like rolling my eyes with the dumb like, oh, I've got you kind of one-liners that like Sly was doing the whole fucking.
Yeah.
It was every other line of his was just like, I'm gonna say something clever.
Yeah.
I think it's less clever and more they were looking for that I'll be back or
Oh,
whatever.
sure. But the problem was there wasn't one consistent one. It was like every other time it was another, and he might call back to one every now and then, but it's like they kept just trying to throw them on the wall, and instead of picking the one that stuck, they just used all of them.
Yeah. And
it was so weird.
It was a hodgepodge. It was...
I feel like if this movie had come out 10 years prior, I could look on it a little more favorably. But knowing like what was being made right before and right after, it sticks out like such a sore thumb.
Hell, 10 years before, it would have been considered prophetic.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Like Total Recall was that. I mean, Total Recall was one of those rare instances where Arnold he basically saved the movie because the production company went bankrupt, and so they basically said, I want to star in it. Carol Co., the company that did RoboCop and all the Rambos, were like, we'll put money into it if Arnold can star. But like in a lot of ways, that movie was also very prophetic, and that came out in like what, 92? I think so. 91 or 92, and so that was actually pretty close. But they managed to be more serious with that because because Verhoeven was directing it. And so, but literally 3 or 4 years later, this one, it's cartoonish almost.
It's very cartoonish, and as you said, like it doesn't. It's supposed to have a serious tone, and I do want to talk about this in a little bit. How I actually think the plot, the basic structure of the movie was a very good story.
Yeah.
Buried in this shit heap of Sly just being a weirdo, is actually a really solid story. The execution was just fucked the whole way.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. It's weird how much old was in it for when it came out. It just, it felt so strange.
It's once again, Hollywood for years, and I know this from watching horror movies, is ran by 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
It may be still that way. I don't know. Back then, definitely 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
So they're coming in and being like, oh, this is what the kids want to see because that's what they wanted to see 20 to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just have that. So whatever pure intention that a scriptwriter or a filmmaker has, and though I'm preaching to the choir, you bring it in, you sit it down, and then somebody else goes, oh, well, I'll give it that $1 million if it has this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in a weird city, so we have to show flying cars and shit, right? Did anybody ever think about that for 1 minute? The whole world has collapsed, and the cities have had to blend together. Everything's a slum.
Yeah.
Everything's dirty. Everything's violent and polluted and nasty. And for some odd reason, scientists said, you know what we need to do?
Make the cars fly.
I don't know.
And the bikes sometimes.
And the guns are voice activated.
Guns are voice activated.
Which was the only part of this that I liked as far as like the technology and the lore was, and I do love how it carried through with the way they did it in the Carl Urban one, because it took that good idea and just perfected it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, there was a lot of good that I could pull out of this movie. I texted Kyle about this. I genuinely think if this plot had been the third movie in a trilogy or a series, it would have been way better. Because if you look at like the story and how simple the 2012 one is, if you start there and then have a second one where he starts to get into the more morally gray area. Because in the first movie, he's pretty much unrelenting as far as like, this is the law, we follow the law in the things that we do. But at the very end is when you see him start to break those kind of morals. If that was the first one, you had something where he starts breaking the morals a little more in the second one. And then the third one is when the entire world is now questioning whether or not he can do his job, even though he's been framed. I think that would have made a very compelling, or at least first 3 movies of these.
Well, you got to face it. These movies aren't made to be, I don't even think, entertaining. A lot of times they're made to sell toys to kids.
Sure.
Shit like that. And I think that's what they were going for. They were just like, slap a bunch of shit together.
Oh, yeah.
I personally, I don't totally agree with what you said about the story of this first movie. I think that it felt like they just took a bunch of good ideas from other movies and scenes, for that matter, and just mush that shit together.
Oh, I don't disagree.
It works.
I don't disagree
and just
with
go
that.
with it. And I'm not saying it was that bad. I'm not saying that I watched it movie at any point. But I just kept on watching. Well, I probably did say fuck this movie.
There was quite a few times.
Rob Schneider kind of made me say fuck this movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Of course, they had to have like hillbillies out in the desert.
Yeah.
Like you had to have your horror movie people will know it. You had to have your Hills
And
Have
Thunderdome.
Eyes.
Yeah, Hills
You
Have
had to have
Eyes, a
some
little bit of Mad
Thunderdome.
Max kind of feel.
Yeah.
Shit like that, where I'm just like, I feel like that's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't watched it since it came out.
Yeah.
And whenever they were flying Dredd to the penal colony, which they kept calling it. I was like, just call it a prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, this is for
We have to say penal.
I know,
Say it.
constantly. And say it straight face. All
Harvey
the times
Weinstein walked in and was like, you should say penal.
Say
we have
penal.
mine doesn't work. I need one that does. But it just, I don't know. I feel like him fighting his way out of prison to prove his innocence would have been so much better.
Oh, definitely. So that's where I say the plot, the basic plot of he's accused of a crime he didn't commit and he has to solve what happened. That is where I think obviously is where they started. And that's where I think the good ideas probably end. It was like once they had their basic story in line and they started populating it with other ideas, that's where everything just kind of sucked.
I got a game that I like to play since the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Where I can't bitch about something unless I have the ideas. And if I can't do that, then I have to walk away.
Yeah.
And in this one, this is how I would do it.
Okay.
Judge Dredd gets framed. I don't know how that's going to get there.
Sure.
Because I didn't particularly care the way they did it in this one.
Yeah.
But he gets framed. He gets sent to the prison. He fights his way through the prison. At this point, you got to keep Rob Sher.
Yeah.
You keep him through there. He's using him as cannon fodder, everything else, to kind of get through till they somehow get out. And then that next part of the movie, your middle of the movie, is them walking through the desert while people on Dredd's side, what's her name? Diane Lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Diane Lane is over there. She's doing like the detective work. So that gives her character actually something to do.
Yeah.
Other than just be a lawyer at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than that, I don't know really what she did. She was just the damsel in distress.
Basically,
like the love.
halfway partner. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kiss at the end was so out of place.
Yeah.
It was so
because
weird.
there was never like any sexual tension.
No,
barely any
at all.
before that. And then it's like, okay, I love you now. And he's
Yeah.
like, I gotta go back.
I judged them.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then, then you have like a bit of a fight between the bad guys, because all those old movies have to have a boss fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
And then you have that, and then then he rides off in the sunset.
I agree
because
with
he's
all of
like,
that.
I can't do anything but the law.
That's a
I'll
10
see
times
y'all
better
later.
movie.
That's
Like 100%.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
see, yeah. And again, in my opinion, that's the same basic plot of just like, what kind of film is this? It's a framed revenge film. So, but that story-wise, that's way better. 100% I would do that. And that's where I think, especially once you've established the world and the characters with one or two other movies, that's especially where this kind of story would have had a better place. Instead of being the introduction to this character, it's kind of the conclusion of what's happened in a grander sense.
Yeah. And they didn't even really set it up for a sequel. I expected that at the end. I expected some sort of...
I'm late to work.
Yeah, that's it. I expected something like the, what's his name, Rico.
Yeah.
I expected him to somehow come back, or maybe the DNA that he started all those clones with.
Yeah.
Like, it shows like one towards the end, like crawling toward, just something.
Yeah.
But they were like, nah.
No.
I think they were just like,
they knew.
we're done
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of knew by the time that movie got edited that it was not going to happen.
Speaking of having a sequel, maybe you're sitting inside of a mega complex in a dystopian slum in a cyberpunk setting, and you haven't shared Movie Wars. So I'm going to judge you. Yeah. We're going to judge. Well, I don't want to say I'm going to execute you. That's really dark. But that's what happens in the movie.
It's true.
So kind of a subtle threat. That's what happens in the movie.
You will seriously be in dread of us coming to get you.
I dread the fact that maybe you didn't share Movie Wars with your grandmother. She's not going to be here forever. In fact, I'd call her now and check.
Yeah.
All right. Share
She might
Movie
already
Wars.
gone.
Love y'all.
Like and subscribe. We love you.
Yes. The questions.
The questions.
So everything we just said, the PG-13 nature, the cartoonishness, but then all of a sudden we got cannibals out in the desert. Like, that drives me insane. Like, to me, like, there are a few subject matters in movies that, like, once you put them in there, it takes it there.
Yeah.
And cannibals is one of those things. Like, the imagery. And if you're like someone that, for God forbid, watched Cannibal Holocaust or Green Inferno.
Oh, love that movie.
Yeah. Like
Green Inferno? Oh, yeah.
So good.
It's a Disney movie compared to Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like, once you like put them in a setting, and I have, and I know this because I have 10 minutes in my set about cannibals. I have a lot of cannibal material. I don't know why.
Okay. Cool.
Fucking
All right, Army
and
Hammer.
it just, yeah, exactly right. It just, people just are a little weird about cannibals.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. It's kind of like you're having a nice party. We'll call Dredd, because up until now, it's been kind of a stroll in the park. Like, it's dark, but it's kind of just feels like a walk in the park. It's like, they're cannibals. It's like, whoa, there are cannibals in this world. Like, how did we get there?
I mean, again, if this had been even the second or third movie in a series, you could go there pretty easily. You could you could have set up the universe, and you could go into a quick side thing. Oh, guess what? Yeah, there's this one group out here that's doing fucked up shit. I think Last of Us did it really well with that one group. But again,
but that's the world.
Well, and you're talking about a 9-hour TV show and a 20 or 16-hour game versus an hour and a half long movie.
Yeah. I agree.
Like, there's just too much stuff packed into this movie for it to make sense.
And they've done nothing here to build up to the cannibals. So it's like, yes, it's dark, like you said, it's polluted, but the thing that, and again, I don't want to over talk about Dredd until we do the Dredd episode, but it's like, this didn't really give us a lot of insights into what living in this world is like. We see the people and stuff, but it's like,
well, some of them, it doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
It kind of just seems like normal life just got put into a big city. Like
that's it.
Sure,
and then,
everyone's a little poorer, but everyone seems to be at least surviving.
But there's cannibals.
Yes.
It's just like, holy shit, that was a leap.
And one group of people who are revolutionaries and are shooting shit up. Like, okay.
It's not like The Road, like the Viggo Mortensen based on Cormac McCarthy.
I still need to see that.
It's like that. I've read it and watched it. It's like, Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
They've done a good job illustrating the world we're in, but here it's kind of like, that was a bit of a leap.
Whenever you go to watch The Road, just make sure you don't have anything else today.
Yeah, you're going to have a bad day.
You're going to be weird around people.
Yeah. Did you read it?
I didn't read it.
Oh my God.
To.
It took me like 3 weeks to finally finish it, and I remember like just living in it for 3 weeks. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. But you could also look at The Road, since this is the Road podcast now. You could also look at The Road as hope, because there is a certain thing that happens at the ending that we can't tell that is supposed to symbolize some sort of hope.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't get that much hope from it.
Sure.
It's Cormac McCarthy's version of hope.
Yes.
It's a spark in the distance of the vast night.
When you don't have any legs anymore and your whole family's dead and you're eating soil and worms.
Yeah.
Hope.
There's still hope.
The
sun hasn't shone in
when you're literally
years.
consuming your own shit to survive.
And there are cannibals.
Yes.
There is hope.
The cannibals.
That killed me, dude. Well, that was the Road podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, review, subscribe. Hey guys.
Next question. We talked about how it was going to be NC-17, and I have a rando for that, but let's pretend we didn't know that.
Okay.
Was the blood and gore budget for this movie $14?
I think so.
Oh my God. Did you notice that? Like, there's so many. I'm not saying it needed to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre or even the new Dredd.
Or even RoboCop.
Yeah, or even, oh yeah, God forbid. But this, like, there are like future laser bullets. Like, I don't even know how to describe them, going through people like crazy. And it's just like, maybe I saw blood 3-4 times. We got cannibals. Like, there's no blood, no gore anywhere.
Well, see, this is what I was saying, because technically I wouldn't classify this as an indie film. Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, both very independent films, and you can get a lot away with a lot more hyper violence in independent films than you can when you're trying to do a big budget kind of action movie. And so that's where I'm like, I feel like general audiences wouldn't have been ready for even an R-rated of that movie, because when you compare it to what was going on in the 80s, everything was kind of independent. You had a few of the big budget kind of stuff, but most things people were seeing in theaters were gonna be lower budget and independent sci-fi film. I would even consider RoboCop to be in that genre of like independent level sci-fi.
Oh yeah, it was rated X. It took them 10 resubmissions to the MPAA to get it down to R.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was kind of a thing for indie film, especially in the 70s and 80s, was like experimenting and pushing the boundaries of that kind of hyper violent
idea. I don't think that this was supposed to be an action movie at all. Like I said earlier, I think this was supposed to sell toys.
Yeah.
This was supposed to open up, like, whoever bought I don't even know what Judge Dredd came out on as far as comic book published.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know much about the comic books. I used to be
British based. Is it British based? It's a UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember seeing it in comic shops whenever I was a teenager. You know, it was nothing more than me looking at how cool the cover was, or maybe flipping through it.
Yeah.
And that was about it. Yeah. So whoever bought that IP, I believe, just went, this will be the next toy that we sell. Because RoboCop, you guys are too young to remember, RoboCop was marketed to little kids.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yes. Even though it was like R, like
hard
crazy R.
Yeah, whenever I watched it, I was like, I don't even know what is going on in this. Because this is insane. And there's all this, like, you know, kind of propaganda that we're in a 1984 state in the movie and all this shit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how's this for kids? And then they made a cartoon.
Yeah. And it's good, by the way.
The cartoon's not bad. I remember having an action figure where you put like caps, like for a cap gun in the back, and you just pulled a trigger and RoboCop just shot.
Yeah.
And it just smelled bad.
I had like 20 action figures of RoboCop. I still have figurines on as part of my decoration in my office. I have RoboCop figurines.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I honestly think that that's what they were pushing for. It's just like, we don't care about the rest. We just want to sell popcorn. We want to make money. Just push this out there. Like, because it was not cohesive. They didn't set it up for a sequel. They thought this would just explode because they had Diane Lane coming off winning an Oscar, I think like a year or two previous.
Oh yeah,
really?
for
Unfaithful.
Yeah.
So she's won an Oscar. She is always known for being a great actress.
Yeah.
Then
she was fucking terrible in this.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Everybody was.
Yeah. Nobody's really
I will
tried.
say, I thought the villain, actually, Rico, I actually really enjoyed his performance. Like, there was, obviously the whole movie was cartoony, and he definitely played into that. But I think he just, I've noticed this even when they're in bad movies. When people get a villain role, they still tend to take it as seriously as they can. Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
God awful dog shit of a movie,
Pretty
but
bad.
goddamn did he put 150% of himself into that role.
Yeah.
He just went all for it. And I feel like Rico did the same here, where he was like, fuck it, I might be saying stupid words, but I'm going to put everything I can behind him. I'm going to bring some sort of weight to this shit.
He went for it.
Randos.
This was kind of wild. This film budget was between 85 90 million.
I was going to ask, okay, that's a shit ton of money for the 90s.
Yeah, and and you can thank Sly for that. I think they would have gotten less than half of that if it wasn't Sly.
Yeah.
But they only made 34 million domestically, and they made 78 million everywhere else. So it totaled 113.
But I'm sure they lost probably 50 million in marketing.
Yeah, and they did have the toys too. I remember the toys. They had
huge toy push.
Yeah, big toy. Toys R Us up in here.
Oh my God.
This is my favorite part of the research here. So what's funny, and I'll get to this in the categories, the director and the writers here wrote and directed some prolific stuff. I mean, we're not messing around with, like, it would suck if you only knew this movie and, like, you would think this is Danny Cannon's only movie. It's like, Danny Cannon sucks. Later, or the writer, I can't remember their names, I got it documented, but you'll be like, oh my God, they suck. But then you see what else they wrote, like, what the fuck happened here? How did this happen? But anyway, this was, when it was submitted, it was NC-17. Between Stallone and the studio, they cut it all the way down to PG-13. Then they started doing reshoots to get more comedy, to get more one-liners in it. And Danny Cannon, the director, was so disheartened by his experience because him and the writers had the 2012 vision in mind. That's what they wanted. They loved the comics. He said, he was quoted saying he'll never work with a big-name actor again because of the way. Yeah.
I would love to see the NC-17 cut. I would love to see what that was originally going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
What else did Danny Cannon do?
We can get into it later, but
okay, sorry.
No, it's good. No, I love this question. He did Pennyworth, Gotham, Nikita, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and he also did like 3 seasons of CSI.
Oh, so he jumped into TV after that.
Yeah, he
did a couple more movies, then jumped into TV. Okay.
I haven't seen him, but Gotham and Pennyworth have gotten a lot of love.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about both of them. That makes a lot of sense because it's unfortunate to say, and I think it's kind of shifting now because there's been a lot of blending between TV and film. But back in the day, you went to TV when you couldn't do film.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the situation.
Yeah, and maybe this experience is what drove him there.
It's possible. Yeah. I mean, literally, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is what made Sean Connery retire from acting.
Yeah.
Like, literally, because the whole thing was he passed on Gandalf. He passed on another big role because he didn't understand Dumbledore. I think he actually passed on Dumbledore, too. And he was like, I just didn't understand the script. And then his agent was like, you've literally passed up $400 million, basically, in the last, 4 years. Do something big, even if you don't get it. So he did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it was so bad that he just quit acting altogether.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I could definitely see one horrific experience just is like, nope, never doing that again. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Man, the agent must either suck or Sean Connery's just hard-headed because it's like
it was definitely a little bit of both.
It's like, listen, you can keep saying no to this, but you're gonna do it.
He would have fucked Gandalf so bad. It would have been horrible.
Well, could you just imagine being in your 60s and somebody's like, here's the deal. There's a little boy. It's a wizard.
Yeah.
And he lives over here. And there's other wizards. Oh, there's Broomstick, right? And he's like, does that make him a witch? No. So, and then all this is going to happen. It's going to be like 9 movies. And this, and the only people that like it are little kids and kind of middle-aged weirdos.
Yeah.
So you're going to get real big with this. And and it'd just be like, I already did Highlander, so I'm good.
You would think with Lord of the Rings, though, up until that point, Tolkien had such a gravitas. Literally every actor of the older generation who worked on that movie had read the books tons of times.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee was the only one who actually met Tolkien and asked him questions and literally every year would rewatch or reread Lord of the Rings just because that's what he loved doing. So it's I don't know if it was just him being a little bit of a prissy asshole, just oh, I don't get it.
I mean, it is James Bond.
Yeah.
So, I mean, James Bond just walks out and he's like, you want me to do what?
Yeah.
Well, I got to wear a dress and a big pointy hat for how long?
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
I don't. And I'm trying to remember. It was within the proximity of this, but then you have that interview with Barbara Walters floating around where he talks about 20 minutes, like when it's okay to slap a woman. I'm like, I watched that because someone posted it recently, and I got curious. They posted like 2 minutes of it. I was like, I've never seen that interview. It's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And Barbara Walters asked him, she's like, so when is it okay for a woman to slap you? He goes, well, that's a whole different story. And I'm like, dude, you got 15 minutes of material on slapping women.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe he's just not a good decision maker, or was it? Pat, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest
maybe.
in power, guy, man slapper.
Yeah. Don't slap
Don't
women.
slap
folks.
women.
Yeah, don't do that. But also at the same time, whenever somebody dies, at least let their body get cold before you're like, you know what? He pretty big asshole.
Kind of an
It's
asshole.
like, yeah, but we all loved him for a while.
Yeah. He did some fun stuff.
Let's celebrate this for a week. Let him get chucked in the ground. Then
Yeah.
be like, and he also would be like, yeah, I'll slap a bitch.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? I'll tell Barbara Walters to her fucking face. And I'll slap her.
We're gonna go around 20 minutes on this material. I mean, it's at a certain point you got to set an expedition or expiration date on a friendship. You just be like, you know what? We'll get a side tech thread going. Be like, I don't think we can talk to Sean anymore. He keeps talking about this women. I've never seen him slap a woman, but he talks about it all the time.
I don't know if it's a joke or if it's just his life, but
he's
Also,
wrong.
how bad is Judge Dredd that we're talking about Sean Connery?
Literally though.
No. And then someone else comes into the text thread, but he's fucking James Bond. Like, shut up, Jimmy.
Third text thread. I think Jimmy might be out too.
Jimmy sure loves Sean Connery a lot.
Did you guys care for the opening of Judge Dredd? 'Cause I thought that was the best part of the whole film,
I
personally.
mean, yes, I agree, but no, I still didn't care for it.
Well, the whole comic book scroll through the pages, Marvel would later steal that.
Yeah.
And that would be the opening of every one of their films. And because as I was noticing, I was like, oh, yeah, that's just Marvel.
It didn't hit it for me.
You
was
didn't even
weird.
like the beginning where the
No.
scroll with James Earl Jones talking? Where
I
he's
mean,
like,
it was cool to hear James Earl Jones, but
Was
then he
pretty cool.
never fucking shows up and doesn't
No.
even do the ending narration if there is any. So I'm like, what the
oh, yeah,
fuck?
there isn't any.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it was just another excuse to pay $100,000 to get someone to record 30 seconds.
Yeah,
of-
it's
of
just
talking.
throwing more spaghetti at the wall of
Yeah.
pop culture to be
Yeah.
like, this will get people in
You
the
know what'll
theater.
get people into it? Darth fucking Vader.
Vader.
How much cocaine were they on when they were like putting this movie together?
Oh man, not enough.
Not enough. Absolutely not enough.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Maximum Overdrive?
No.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's a whole cocaine movie.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah.
Stephen King wrote it and directed it.
His only
nice.
director. Yeah.
And he said that he was so blasted on blow that he doesn't remember doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, there's large chunks of
Well, he doesn't
like
remember.
that year.
Yeah, he doesn't remember writing Cujo either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Whenever
Yeah.
you just, hey, we got a dog outside.
Yeah.
And we're in a car.
Is it kind of weird that I liked Maximum Overdrive? I mean,
No, it's not.
The whole soundtrack, it's got like a 0%, but the whole soundtrack is AC/DC, and there are some cool death scenes. The rolling, what is the cement roller that runs
Yep.
over the guy? Holy shit!
Steamroller goes over a dude.
Yeah.
Did you cover that in the previous?
No.
We should do it.
We should.
We should do
Maximum
it.
Overdrive?
tackle
Yeah.
some bat. You want to come?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it a million times. I mean, I didn't watch it without TBS commercial breaks till probably 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Oh wow.
And man, I can go through the greatest hits of that. Steamroller kills somebody. Sony Walkman kills a woman.
Yes, a vending machine.
Vending machine hits a man in nuts with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And then bashes his brains out.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cocaine movie.
It's actually Emilio Estevez is really good in it.
Emilio Estevez does a job.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it also has the voice of Lisa Simpson. It has one other person.
Yeah.
Nice.
We should definitely cover it. We
Yeah,
should
I'm
tackle
down.
some movies that are considered bad. That'd be
I'm
really
down.
funny.
Yeah.
Last Rando.
Here we go.
So not only did they not really deliver, in terms of the movie, but they also pissed off the diehard Dredd fans. The way they did that was, and again, I haven't read them. Now I'm really curious now to read them, but apparently in the comics, he never takes his helmet off, ever.
Yeah.
And when he does, the very few times he does, it's always obscured.
Yeah.
So his face, like, I think, I did a lot of research. I could never find a definite number, but like 3 times, I think, in the comics, it says he took his helmet off, but it's either a shadow or something's blocking. You never
Well,
see his
that was
face.
the very beginning of Dredd. Was his helmet is off, but he's completely in shadow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So,
then he
yeah,
doesn't
that
take it
makes
off
sense.
again. And the fans, it totally pissed off the diehards.
Yeah.
So they couldn't wow the new audience. They pissed off the loyal fans, so
Yeah.
they just missed the mark.
All because Sly wanted people to see his ugly face.
Yes, and that was a big part of it. It was like, well, we got Sly here, we're going to show his face.
Yeah.
And
I
he,
mean, I guess it does make sense in a way.
Oh yeah.
Because
But it's
in the
also
new
like,
one-
don't adapt something if you're not going to follow it.
Yeah, well, that's everything. That's every
Yeah.
single thing.
Shall we execute, judge, and what does he say? I am the
judge, jury, executioner.
Shall we judge, jury, and executioner? Shall we voice activate the gun?
I do have to say real quick, technically, and yes, I'm going to throw shade at you again. Technically, according to your metric on previous movies, this actually is a good movie because it doesn't follow the source material
my God,
at all.
you try to hold me to everything I say.
I absolutely will. He shits on my favorite movies because he's just like, oh, this sucked. And I'm like, it followed the source material pretty greatly. And everyone who loved the source material loved it. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It should fuck the source material.
When I'm not a fan of the source material.
You don't know the source material
I don't
for the
have
ones
to,
that you hated.
But I don't have to. That's my point.
I'm kind of on both sides of this.
Yeah.
Give me an example of the movies that you might be talking about.
He hated The Adventures of Tintin, which I don't know if you ever saw.
I've never watched it, so I can't really.
And he hated all the Zack Snyder movies
All of them?
Superman.
Yeah. I liked a lot of parts of the Snyder Cut. I liked a lot of parts, but not enough.
Oh, I didn't. It just was too long. Personally, I watched what was it, the Justice League movie or whatever, in the theater and just went.
Oh yeah,
we
we did a whole episode on that one.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. But I mean, when the Snyder Cut came out, it's just like, okay, we took all the bad parts and and then put more shit in between, and I'm like, okay, it's still bad.
Yeah.
Now it's just long and bad.
Yeah.
And some
I
of it's in
disagree.
black and white.
Anywho.
Where I'm like, okay. But I get.
Anywho, I was just throwing shade at
Oh
him
my
because it's
God.
funny.
But if I may,
yeah.
there is a crossroads of source material and actually making a movie,
Yeah.
and I think we all know that you
Oh,
can't just put straight page to movie because
Agreed.
there's so much shit that you can't. It
That's
doesn't
why
even
the
make
second
sense.
Hunger Games pissed me off so much because it ended exactly like the book, where it ends on a cliffhanger instead of doing what Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings and moving things around so that the end of each movie felt like a conclusion, didn't feel like a cliffhanger, even though it was more shit. So no, I completely agree. You have to make some sacrifices but he makes these sweeping definitive statements every now and then, and I love finding moments where I can just throw it back at him.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I have been hypocritical, and here's how I've been hypocritical. I do love to read, and so I do love source material, and I do when I'm not familiar with it though, and I'll be honest, when I'm not familiar, like I haven't read the Superman comics, I still want to like the movie, and I want to feel like the movie was made in a way like, sure, enjoy your source material, but I don't know it, so make me a movie I still want to watch.
That makes sense.
And that's kind of that's what I really mean, because I've read I've read 50 Stephen King books, and like when I watch those, I am evaluating his source material. But most people, especially now, don't read.
Yeah.
Your wife liked 10-10, so I'm right.
Yeah.
2-on-1. I don't like this. I don't like this.
There's a fourth
handicap
person in the
match.
room you don't even know about. So for the scores, if yes, affirmative, dig it, I love it, I am the law.
Hell yeah.
And I went a little off script here. If you don't like it, no, don't be judgy. Don't be judgy. All right.
Something you should live by.
Don't be judgy. So top bill cast, and this didn't make it to my randos, but we were all talking about Rob Schneider. You know who was first offered that role? Joe Pesci. And he turned it down.
I wonder why.
He was going to be Fergie. My third favorite actor of all time, Joe Pesci.
I'm jumping in on this Joe Pesci thing.
Dude, Joe Pesci would have changed the whole fucking movie.
He would have.
The whole
He would have been
movie
great, but I could understand why it would have been like,
Look at him in Home Alone.
Yeah.
He does comedy. And My Cousin Vinny, like when you put him in a comedic role, he's great.
I wonder if he was on the Arnold side of things and didn't want to work with Sly.
He may have, and if you know
Maybe
any,
read the scripts.
yeah, maybe.
Well, again, the script was different when they first shot it.
That's true. That's what
Like
you're
they
saying.
shot a drama. It's like an action drama and turned it, like reshot it into an action comedy.
Yeah.
It sounds like what happened with Suicide Squad. Like he edited a full out Snyder cut BVS like toned drama, and they reshot it without him, and it got turned into a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff
Cartoon.
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you know anything about Joe Pesci's my third favorite actor of all time, and when you read about he is not the kind of guy that would put up with that shit.
Yeah.
He's just not.
Yeah.
Like
That's why I wonder
Yeah.
if he did not like Sly and just wouldn't work with him, because that would happen a lot back then.
Yeah.
You would try to get another major actor somewhere and they'd just be like, I can't work with that guy.
Yeah, like literally when he got cast in Raging Bull, he had given up on acting. He was managing an Italian restaurant. And Robert De Niro begged Scorsese to put Pesci, but Pesci had given up on acting.
Yeah.
And so now, like when you watch his Oscar speech, he has the shortest Oscar speech of all time. He says like 3 words.
Oh, wow.
He's like, thank you. And he walks on stage. He just does not. I can't imagine him on stage with Sly be like, you care about this way too much.
Yeah. But so we got Sly, we got Rob Schneider.
Yep, Sly and Armand Desante as Rico.
Okay, Diane Lane's not considered top billed.
She's not.
Interesting.
Nope.
Okay,
She's in the supporting.
Is that 2 Oscar winners in this movie?
Yeah.
Diane
Rob
Lane?
Schneider.
Right, yeah. The animal
for the water boy.
Come on.
Yeah. I gotta go. Don't be judgy. I think the what was the villain's name?
Rico.
No, not the character, the actor.
Oh, Armand Desante.
Yeah, I thought he did a very good job, but he could not save that movie and everything that Sly and Rob Schneider did on.
Yes.
So I got to give it a don't be judgy.
A ditto.
Yeah.
It just feels like it had the moving parts. A fun action movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, at points it was fun.
There were good moments.
Cool seeing the city. I thought they did great on that. Yeah, the lack of, for some odd reason, the lack of violence. I'm like, come on, give me.
Yeah. Can we get a little blood?
Yeah, just something. Also, once again, it's dinosaurs making material for young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just have like, we're a bad gang and we're in this house.
And we eat people.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking at the beginning when Rob
yeah.
Schneider goes, well, I guess this is my new apartment that they just give you after you get out of prison.
Yeah.
And he just goes up there and they're just like, hey, we're a whole gang.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh.
And then he
okay.
hides in the spaghetti machine.
Yeah, he hides in a spaghetti robot.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that whole gang was even like, yeah, we're going to get these coppers. You don't even understand. And I'm like, okay.
Come here, see?
It's like, so from the rip, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like they could have just, my personal opinion, Rob Schneider could have just been like a low-level street informant. And that's where Joe Pesci, I think, would have fucking killed in this movie.
He would have brought some gravitas.
Yeah, just being like, change that script around. He's low level. Oh, don't be judgy. That's where I'm going.
Also,
It's like, I'm just going to sit here and just be like, let's keep rewriting the movie. It ain't going to change anything. It's a 30-year-old movie.
Also, how hard of a pivot is it to go from fucking Joe Pesci to goddamn Rob Schneider?
And I love you, Rob Schneider. You're hilarious. I think your stand-up is great. You've played so many great comedic roles with Adam Sandler.
But you fucked up here.
But this was fucking horrible.
This was all a cash grab. It had to be, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just everybody's like, you're
I
paying
want to
me
know
how
what he got
much?
paid.
You just made a point that I didn't even think about. You just blew my mind. There was, if you're looking at the speed on a car, or let's look at cars, Ferraris, Honda Civics. You're fucking between the Toyota Corolla, Rob Schneider, and the fucking Ferrari that is Joe Pesci. There was no Lexus, or really.
Give me an Audi.
There was no dependable family car in the middle.
Give me a low-level Mercedes Benz. Like, come on.
Yeah, even we talked about Michael Madsen.
Yeah,
and he's in everything. He's had almost 1,000 roles. Like he probably was around. Like there was no Michael Madsen. Like just nobody that could maybe be in the middle.
Yeah.
Between fucking Rob Schneider and Joe Pesci.
Hell, Chevy Chase would have done better.
Yes.
Had Rob Schneider done anything at this point? I mean, other than SNL?
Home Alone 2.
I'm sure he had done some stuff.
I think he had done Home Alone 2.
That
which he's really funny in. That's a great Rob Schneider role.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like, sometimes you see that star, it's just like catching her.
Yeah.
And then they're just on everything. Like we were just saying, like maybe not Michael Madsen. I think that he just will take whatever role. He doesn't worry about money.
He's got a retirement account somewhere.
Absolutely.
And it's blowing up.
Well, I was thinking he worries less about money because it's just like kind of like you're a gig worker. You're out here driving for Uber Eats and then it pops up McDonald's and you're like, take it.
Yeah.
The next one pops up like a 5-star restaurant and you're like,
Tarantino, CSI Miami, whatever the fuck.
Whatever you want to give me. It's all money. I work.
Yeah.
So he had done Home Alone 2. He had done Surf Ninjas.
Ooh, I love Surf Ninjas. It's so bad, but it's so fun.
Demolition Man, the Beverly Hillbillies.
Another Sylvester Stallone movie.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
Yep.
That's why he's in this.
Yeah. Then he did the Beverly Hillbillies, was on... He was
really
on
funny.
Saturday Night Live that whole time, and then quit Saturday Night Live, and then did Judge Dredd.
Wow, dude,
this was his big jump into movies. I bet.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is a big popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I'm going. This is my second big popcorn movie because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't watched Demolition Man in a long time, but I would often get it confused with Judge Dredd.
Same.
It's so
during the 90s, I always mixed these two movies up. They both had action figures.
Yep.
Slides in both of them. Yeah. So they're both dystopian-ish.
Yep.
I also go Don't Be Judgy. And I hate this because this is the first time in Movie Wars history I've gone against Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
You guys don't.
I'm sure we can find some other ones that you would.
Yes, you could, but yeah.
Let's go watch his old pornos.
Or Stop or My Mom Will Shoot or Oscar. I mean, you can find a bunch, but when it comes to Rambo, when it comes to Rocky, Cobra is top 50. I've seen Cobra over 100 times.
Yeah.
I literally, you guys don't get it. When I grew up, I worshipped Sly and Arnold. Like, they were my heroes. They were my heroes.
Yeah.
That's why I liked Batman, but I didn't like superheroes because Arnold and Sly were my superheroes.
Sure, yeah.
Fucking, what is this thing? Sly, what did you do? Why I can't talk to my friends about this. You know, it fucking... And here's the thing: there are glimpses where he would deliver a line that's a little more Judge Dredd-ish, and I think that would have worked. Sylvester Stallone could have worked in this role if the helmet thing, if they would have maybe stuck to the source material here. I know, but if they actually would have stuck to it, and if he would have just fucking
adapted it correctly,
and if he just would have fucking backed up and just said, "I didn't write this and directed," but he can't do that, and it was fine with Cobra, but not here.
Yeah, they were basically just making like RoboCop light. He even moved like RoboCop. I wrote this all down in my phone. Where I was like, here's a scene that I know stolen. Rico at the super prison as Hannibal Lecter.
Yep.
Exactly like Hannibal. His back was turned with his hands behind his back. He turns around like, oh, hello.
Oh, yeah.
And all that. But Sylvester Stallone moves like RoboCop. He moves like an unoiled machine. And then you have, when did The Fifth Element?
The 80s.
No, around the same time, Bruce Willis.
Didn't it?
No, I think 95.
Somewhere in there.
Hold on.
But it had elements of The Fifth Element.
97.
Oh,
okay, so it came out later.
90s. Okay,
so I was totally wrong about that, but it felt like The Fifth Element at points.
Yeah.
You were thinking of the third element.
Version.
I'm thinking what?
You were thinking of the third element.
Oh, maybe.
In
sorry.
succession.
Gary Oldman is in that. And that was Mila Jokovich's debut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that was anything.
We are not being judgy. It is 0 to 1. Here we go. Sly, you abandoned your boy. Yes, you did. Supporting cast. Jürgen Ponchow as Judge Griffin. I hate when I have to say fancy names because I'm from Arkansas. Judge Fargo, played by Max von Sydow. Diane Lane is Judge Hershey. And I think that's pretty much all we need to say. There's a bunch of other ones.
Von Sydow was on a bunch of, like, he was almost like an accomplished actor.
Yeah, he was like, I think 60 or 70 in this, right?
Yeah.
He was pretty old already, yeah.
And also, I mean, just to go back on Sly Stallone, he started out with Rocky, an Oscar-winning film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, wow, who's this guy that used to be in gay porn? And then he goes on to Rambo. First Blood.
Yeah.
It's
Incredible
an amazing
movie.
action drama.
One of the best movies ever
and
made.
He actually acts in it.
That
That's the thing, is like
crime scene at the
comparing
end?
him to Arnold. I don't care what you say. Arnold cannot act if he has any lines. That is just
True.
who he is.
But you hire Arnold to be Arnold.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
menacing motherfucker.
Yeah.
Kindergarten Cop might be his best. And I mean
It's
that
amazing.
wholeheartedly.
Not a Tuma.
Yeah. Him just dealing with the kids. You know, it's...
But then you have Sly, who, despite his over the top Italian accent at times, he is a very good actor.
Yeah.
So it's always shocking for me when I see something like this, where it's like, I know you tried, but you're just terrible. Like, what the fuck happened?
In Copland, he held shit down with Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro and Robert Patrick. He held that shit down. Half that cast were supporting cast in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Yep.
He fucking held that shit down.
Yeah.
Everything you read about after Copland came out was, oh my God, Sylvester Stallone can act. I was like, I guess we forgot after First Blood. That's possibly the last real acting role he ever did was First Blood.
I mean, 2 is still good. Like I never saw Rambo 3, but First Blood 2 was really good. Other than Rocky 5, I thought he does a great job as Rocky every time he's played him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if 3 and 4 got a little more hokey in the story, at least he still brought the emotion to the role.
Balboa, maybe it's just this.
Yeah.
Is what he sucks at.
I guess. I don't know.
This is the movie, like, we're keep on going, like, well, even, Rambo 3, I mean, it is nothing but, a big dick action.
Fucking awesome.
It is fucking awesome. He's out here helping the Taliban take down the Russians.
Yeah.
And then Rambo, or Rambo 4, if you guys have never seen
All
that.
the Rambos are great.
Yeah.
Yes, every single one. I didn't care much for Last Blood, but it was okay.
Oh, they did make a 5th one.
It was a
forgot they made
fun,
5th one.
brutal death
It's
fest.
very brutal.
I wish they were fun and brutal towards the supporting cast.
One last thing. I didn't hate him in The Expendables.
Oh, well,
I thought he did fine, and that's the same genre as far as like big action movie.
Yeah.
Like he still can do that. So yeah, it's don't be judgy on the everyone fucking sucked at the
Yes.
movie.
The
I'm sorry.
Expendables will not watch it. Will not watch The Expendables. I'm sorry. If you're going to give me a thoughtless action movie, I would rather watch Judge Dredd than Expendables.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
He says it. He just laid it down.
Because they at least are trying to make the movie that the Expendables are making. So I am sick of irony. I'm sick of people
I didn't
coming
feel
out
like the
being like,
Expendables
hey,
was making fun of action.
oh, I thought it
movies.
was the whole time.
I don't know.
I feel like
I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah, me either. But this is what I probably didn't finish it, to be honest. Because
I watched all three of them.
holy shit, I didn't even know there was 3 of them.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed them. They were
Josh found them to be expendable.
Yes. Trash.
Anywho,
Are they as expendable as the supporting cast?
I like the supporting cast probably better than I like the top bill.
I mean, I agree, but it's still, I don't know.
If I was going to make a movie, I would have the old judge guy, Von whatever, Diane Lane, and who else? Somebody else. The bad guy,
Jurgen
Rico.
Pronchow as Judge Griffin. No, Rico was top bill.
Oh, he's top bill.
I do take it back. I still go, don't be judgy, but I did like the old guy judge. Like,
Yeah.
he did fucking
He did a
kill
great
it.
job.
He was great.
But he seemed like a total like guy like in the 60s and 50s was one of the dependable actors of the kind of like Knight in Caddyshack. He was just like the fucking everyone else is horrible. But he's like the consummate. I've been doing this for 80 years. I'm just gonna be a professional and pretend like nothing matters and
it's like,
just
no
do my
matter how
job.
bad the script is, he'll make it sound fine.
Those old actors do that a lot.
Yeah.
Like they'll just show up like this movie sucks, but that dude's still just a fucking professional over here.
And dude, it's like going to see like regional or local professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And you just see that guy comes out, he's got a little bit of a belly, but he's still got the guns.
Yep.
He's still got the tits.
Yeah.
You know, his hair's wet for no reason. And he gets out there and he does all his moves and everything like that. And you're like, looking good on you, dude. You're 55 years old.
And gets home and puts his kids to bed.
Gets home, yeah. He's like, I got to get out of here. He wraps his head up where he had to cut it a couple times with a razor blade. He goes home. Exactly. And kisses his 20-year-old son goodnight.
I love that. That's a really good comparison.
But yeah, I love those actors. So I'm going to say, what was the good one?
The good one is I Am the Law.
I Am the Law for the supporting. And I think it's just because Diane Lane. She's a good actress. She
Yeah.
was not good in this.
She's not good at this at all.
Yeah.
But she could be.
I'm trying so hard to like but and that's funny because we always make fun about Snyder, but how complimentary of Diane Lane was I every
very.
episode. I fucking
Absolutely.
everything she did, I loved. She was my favorite part in a lot of the movie besides the Batman stuff, but I loved her. And then I'm watching her here, I'm like, what
the fuck?
You're younger here. You're supposed to be spunky here. What? You won an Oscar? Like, what are you doing? And
This is her cash grab too. All of them were just like, hey, I can go into indie films or whatever I want to after I make this amount
Like
of
for
money.
$90 million for this movie, yeah, a lot of it had to a lot of it had to go to the cast and maybe the animation, but it did not seem like a lot went into anything else.
I mean, from the looks of the animation, that had to go. It was like Sylvester Stallone animation.
yeah.
$80 million to Sylvester and royalties.
Yeah.
Knowing him, he's probably still getting royalties too.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it for 75.
You know,
and royalties.
And 5 points.
I'll nail down the acting. My thoughts, like Armand Asante, I agree with you. Like in the top bill, did great. I don't think Rob Schneider knew how to act, so I don't necessarily. I think he showed up as Rob Schneider to be Rob Schneider. I don't blame him, but still, it's horrible. And then I get to supporting. I love what you said. Like I love some of these older, like consistent, been in the industry, professional actors, but it wasn't enough to overcome the fact that I'm like, Diane Lane, I've seen you do so much.
Yeah.
And then so I give it a don't be judgy.
I'm at the point with a movie like this, I want to know what the acting looked like or sounded like before the ADR. I want to know what the performance sounded like on set, because something I've noticed, and this is coming from having done ADR before, you have to be a very skilled actor and a very skilled director to be able to get a great performance out of ADR.
Yeah.
Because if it does not even 100% match the tone on the face, if it's at 99, it's still something feels off.
What's ADR?
ADR is it's got a bunch of different names. It's mostly known as automatic dialogue replacement. It's where you wipe out all the sound
I know
from the
what you're
movie.
talking about. Yep.
They come in, record their voiceovers, and then eventually you send it to the other guy to do Foley of all the
Sergio
sound
Leone
effects.
spaghetti western stuff, if you guys are familiar with those.
Yeah.
Well, they just take out all the dialogue and then make it sound so weird.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, those movies are so good.
They even did it
You
with
just
Clint
plow
Eastwood.
right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Clint's overdubbing himself.
Yeah. And back in the day, it was especially needed because film reels on the cameras were so loud that half the time the audio from set was unusable. You just had it as a reference.
Now it's a filter on an audio interface.
Well, also cameras are silent, so
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter. Like,
That's true.
You can use. That's why sound mixing became a category at the Oscars for a little while, was because it used to just be best sound. Now it's back to best sound, but they had editing and mixing because mixing was on set, editing was post sound. So that's like once cameras got quieter, you were actually able to on-set sound off it.
Yeah, so you could use a boom mic that actually, that picks up something other than.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of missed the sound of that old film.
Yeah.
0 to 2, lest ye be judged.
Here we go.
All right, writing, and this is where I couldn't wait to get to. So obviously you have the people that created the characters.
Yeah.
You have John Wagner, not Josh Wagner, Carlos Esquera, and then. But this is crazy. William Wisher was one of the screenplay writers. He wrote. You're gonna die when I tell you what he wrote. He wrote T1, T2.
Nice.
With James Cameron, and then Stephen.
Terminator.
Yeah,
and then,
I know.
Okay.
And Stephen E. D'Souza wrote Die Hard and Commando. All 4 of those movies are in my top 50. And they wrote, I'm telling you, you got all these people that have done some good shit.
Yeah.
What happened?
This, once again,
Yeah.
has to be executives.
Well, yeah, because I was about to say, I want to know what the script looked like for the NC-17 version.
Yeah.
Because whenever there's reshoots that comes with rewrites, and a lot of times you won't bring on the original screenwriters to do that. It'll be executives going through, and even Sly probably going through and redoing the rewrites, but they're still legally obligated to be credited as the
So they probably treated the original script as a
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
this is a good
Well, they
skeleton
shot
piece.
it. That's the other thing, is they shot it. Like somewhere that cut exists somewhere.
No, it doesn't. Somebody
mean-
threw that in a garbage
I mean,
can
it's possible, but I'm
years
saying
ago.
a lot of times they'll keep them in the vault. Like they'll have the first cut of it just
Yeah.
to keep it for archive's sake. But it's like somewhere allegedly this exists, and I would love to see what it looked like before all the reshoots, rewrites, because there could have been a really good script in here.
Do you guys
Again-
understand money at all?
Oh yeah,
Okay, well, I guess I don't. Because I would say you have a generation, or maybe generations of people that just consume content. Just like that thing that was like eating the universe in one of those Guardians of the Galaxy movies
Yeah.
or whatever.
Langolier.
Is that what it was?
Oh, no, The Langoliers by Stephen King.
Oh,
Another
the
one.
Langoliers, yes. We have to get on a plane, and it has to go at this certain, just to outrun the time eating. But we as a public now, that's what we do. We just consume. We just
Yeah.
fucking munch constantly. We're just big fat fucking slobs, just munching.
Yeah.
And you in a vault, you own a vault that just so happens to have the original cut of Judge Dredd. I don't know what. You have it.
yeah.
And you're like, oh, what should I do with this? And then you look at it, and then you put it back in the vault, and then you lock it with an old set of keys. And then you set those keys somewhere else where you can't find them. And right there is at least, bare minimum, $5 million. Why don't you release that?
I
You could go to Vinegar Syndrome. Are you guys familiar with Vinegar Syndrome? It's
No.
that like puts out all the DVD re-releases of like old schlocky movies
okay.
and horror movies and shit like this. You could go to them and be like, here's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You're going to sell this as the uncut original NC-17 version. You're going to give me 75%. You keep 25%.
Yeah.
And then whenever we cross a certain barrier, we'll renegotiate if we even get to it.
Yeah.
And I guarantee everybody will make money.
Oh yeah.
Because the Snyder cut that I did not care for.
Yeah.
People fucking jacked hard to it.
Oh
dude.
yeah, it was the #1 HBO viewed thing ever at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After saying that original cut was garbage.
Yeah.
And then you bring out a much more extended cut that I don't think was a whole lot better. It was somewhat better.
Yeah.
It was definitely better.
Yeah.
And people ate that up.
Oh yeah.
And HBO made some money off that. Everybody got to make some money. So
Here's
if we're
my
in the
thought.
business of making money, why not just fucking make it?
So
and then
here's-
show us the thing we want to fucking see.
Here's my thought. It's on film reels. It's not
Yeah.
digitally saved, so it's going to be much more difficult to go back, find it, make sure the film's in good shape, make sure, and then on top of that, you have to rescan the film. You have to go through and make sure that the color correction is good. It would cost them easily a solid $20 million to put out the film.
How many billionaires are in America?
So many.
4.
We need,
I don't know.
even if there's only 4.
Yeah.
Can't you just go to one of these crazy people?
If
and
one
just-
of them cared, then I'm sure maybe.
Bezos.
But it really just comes down to who holds the copyrights? How many companies hold the copyrights? Can you get them all together to agree to release this other version? Can you make sure that you have permission from everyone who was in it in the original version? There's so many contracts. I agree with you. It seems like a no-brainer, but I also know easily could cost $25 million just to put out a cut that already exists.
Probably.
Because it cost them another, I think, $50 million to make the Snyder Cut, even though it was already edited together and they only had to reshoot or shoot one additional scene. It gets expensive. So I don't blame them because it probably would only make $5 million, and that's a $20 million loss.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
But do you blame the writers? Judge
Oh, yeah,
Dredd?
yeah. Sorry.
No, I love it. But I also, but I love it. I'm not trying to be a dick.
No. It's solely somebody has to keep me on track.
I love
Based
it.
on-
Everything you're saying is amazing.
Based on what came out, unfortunately, I got to give them a don't be judgy. Again, that's where I'm I would love to see the original cut and the original script because it's when I know how much studio interference comes into it, I can't fully blame the screenwriters. But the product that was before us, all that we're able to judge.
Don't be judgy.
Ditto. I mean, it might have. It's like saying you have a girlfriend that goes to the other high school.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so hot. Well, can I see her?
She's gonna be a doctor.
She's locked in a vault somewhere. It'll cost $50 million to get her out. So, I mean, here's the girl that I'm seeing now. It's like, well, she is covered in warts.
Yeah.
And toothless.
But she has big tits.
That's the hottest part about her is the lack of teeth.
Yeah.
Very shiny gums. They're not meth gums. They're just shiny gums.
Yeah, just like a turtle.
Very smooth blowjobs.
I do the same, man. I hate it because I'm just looking for something to sink my teeth into, and knowing what these writers have done, I feel bad for them because now that I know, again, like you said, I can't give it positive because of that. It is what it is. But knowing that between those 4 movies I mentioned that are all in my top 50, there was a great script out there at one point. It.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys. I mean, James Cameron is ruthless on scripts.
Yeah.
Ruthless, and there's no way that these guys were hacks hanging out with James Cameron writing Terminator, and So anyway, so don't be judgy. Directing, Danny Cannon.
Same thing. I don't know what he originally directed, and I don't know if he considers himself to have actually directed the final product.
Yeah.
Because David Ayer does not consider himself the director of Suicide Squad by the time the recuts were done. So, but again, same thing. It's what's in front of us, and he's the one who's credited with it. And unfortunately, I gotta give it a don't be judgy. It just wasn't good. There were moments, like we've all said, there were tiny moments here and there where I'm I could see there might have been something before.
There's a movie in there somewhere.
It was kind of like with City of Angels, with the Crow City of Angels, where it's every now and then there's I could see someone tried, someone gave a shit there, but it's just not enough to have made this a good movie or even an okay movie. So
Love it.
I wanna be a contrarian and just be like, nah, it was directed.
Fuck you, it was really good.
Yeah, but
top 5 movies ever made.
It might be one of the first comic book movies outside Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher that did want to make a movie that looked like a comic book. I don't know if you guys have watched Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
Yeah.
I have not,
and
but I've seen
original
I've seen clips and videos.
The original Flash from the 80s. There was an old Captain America from the 80s.
Yeah.
It was not prevalent. You're right. Swamp Thing. Wes Craven made Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing was kind of comic bookish. But
Literally,
this
it was Batman and Superman, and then the Hulk because of the TV show.
Yeah.
It
But
was kind of it.
But it's not like today.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, I want to like it because of that. Because you could tell the way he was setting up the camera and stuff that he kind of wanted it to be torn from the pages of a comic book, at least in my mind a little bit.
It started that way, but as it went on, I just kept noticing how it fell into old ways of the film. Like it just, there was so much better technology in the 90s than we even had in the 80s. I mean, the Steadicam was invented in the 70s. They should have used it. So they could have used it so much in this, but it was all stationary or weird zooms and like the look into the distance and like, I don't know. It
Which is a drastic change for 2012. We don't have to get into it, but the night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't like. Don't be judging.
I want to be a contrarian, but I can't.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I one thing that you mentioned earlier, Josh, that really struck a chord with me was you were talking about how you were seeing like scenes from other movies being so heavily infused, and there's a total. We've talked about this a lot, Seth, but there's a difference between like the stuff you subconsciously learn as a filmmaker and you put in, and then grafting
blatant
things,
rip-offs.
And I literally hate it. And what's funny is this is why I also hated Thunderdome. This did this to Thunderdome, where halfway through, all of a sudden, it's like Thunderdome when they go to the desert. But Thunderdome, halfway through, was all of a sudden, it was like Peter Pan. Yeah. Like and that's why I hated that one, because I'm such a diehard Road Warrior fan. But this, I'm like, no, and again, I'm not going to blame Danny Cannon. This isn't me saying he's a bad director, but this final product was not guided well.
Again, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how much he had to do with the reshoots. Because he's listed as director, that's just the way I got to go.
Yep. It's the way we got to go. And the way it's going is 0 to 4. We're judging the shit out of this thing. We're about to execute it.
Judge, jury, executioner, bitches.
What's in front of us? Cinematography, production, design, sound, costumes, editing.
This is probably the one positive thing I can say about this movie overall, is I do think the costumes were good.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography was very outdated, but again, if this had come out 10 years prior, it would have been revolutionary.
Absolutely.
So I can't say that it's bad. It just wasn't, it didn't fit with where things had been going. Sound design was fine. Like nothing was overly distracting other than just the performance between what was going on set and what happened in the ADR booth. So I'm going to give this a squeak over 5.1. I am the law.
You know why you may have liked the suits. I forgot about this rando. I don't know why I didn't jot down. You know who designed the suits?
Who?
Versace.
Oh, shit.
Himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, like, Hugo Boss. Who else did Hugo Boss
The Nazi
design?
guys?
9!
I mean, it was almost like that. I mean, I think that's what they were going for, to be like, this is kind of our SS.
I mean, once Star Wars happened, everyone wanted the villains to look like Nazis. So
Yeah.
Nazis wearing samurai helmets.
Yeah.
Let's just blend all the Axis powers together, but leave the Italians out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No Mussolini.
I love to just bring that up anytime somebody brings up Nazis to be like, like the Italians.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
They were just the fascists. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about Imperial Japan. No, I would say, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go 5.1. I think because it's a bit of a slog whenever you watch the movie, where you're just kind of like, it starts out kind of cool and you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes, and then, I mean, I kind of like the way that the clones look.
Yeah.
But also, if you're going to make a clone and that has to, like, it had its guts and everything for him, but no mouth, it's just weird.
Yeah.
They all just looked like, some sort of evil demon monster zombie. Where I was just like, they could have just basically had like literally a naked dude. That's what I was thinking.
They could have just had Arnold naked from Terminator.
Or Bone Tomahawk style.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, fuck yes.
Great film.
Great movie.
I love that filmmaker. But you said 5.1?
Yeah, that's my definition of a squeak over as far as I can give it a positive.
I guess I'll say all 5.1 too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was basically they nailed the helmet for the most part.
Yeah.
Giving Sly Stallone elevator boots was a good idea to make him look taller. Maybe the reason why he walked like a RoboCop so much.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else, I mean, I love a dystopian future where the clothes on the poor people are like futuristic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just feel like a dystopian future in a mega city, we would still be kind of dressed the same, just dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just why not go with that?
Yeah.
But everybody's got to be like, oh, I'm wearing a jacket with plastic stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that takes it down a notch. But I mean, as far as like the judges themselves, they look cool. I think that the big motorcycle, I like the motorcycles in this movie more than the newer movie.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Because the newer movie, and we'll talk about that, it just looked like somebody took a motorcycle and they just put a thing
Put a
in
hood
front
over
of
it,
it.
yeah.
They just went, go. Just start driving. Everybody
Yeah.
else is driving a
Yeah.
Volkswagen Beetle. It's fucking weird.
Well, now you guys have painted me in the corner as the most negative guy on a Sly movie.
Hell yeah.
I don't like being in this position, but I do like what you said, and I agree. There are moments where I love the voice-activated gun as a prop. Like,
Yeah.
that was super cool. I love how it became useful, and the callback of that was really cool. I did like the uniforms. That they were. It's kind of interesting that Versace designed them. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
But
Another money suck on this movie.
yeah, that's
we gotta
probably
give him millions of dollars.
yes. That's a good point. And also, they didn't hire costume designers. They must have hired, like, he had them in there. Oh, God, that must have been absorbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever the acting is bad and the story's not going well, I'm like, well, I'm going to look to the camera work. And like, there's nothing unique standing out in the camera
Yeah.
work. There's nothing unique in the editing. It just was very, I think that might have been maybe even one of the biggest problems with this movie was, aside from that stuff, is the way it was being captured and presented. It wasn't interesting.
Yeah.
Like, nothing unique, nothing stands out. So I went, don't be judgy. But
Hey, it's fair because I mean, like I said, there were only a couple of things that made it tolerable. If the costumes had been even a step below where they were, I probably would have.
it's now 1-4. Maybe the law exists afterward. Maybe it does actually exist. And I pulled out an old category for this one. How good are these bad guys, huh?
Other than the one main villain, everyone else was.
Yeah.
Even the cannibals were.
It's like, eat me already. Fuck.
Yeah.
Herschel
Like,
from The
seriously.
Walking Dead, living out there in the desert.
Yeah, I go. Don't be judgy. It was not good.
Yeah, it's okay. So I watch a Batman movie. This is something that about me that was weird to kids whenever I was a kid.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like just when you hang out with kids.
just whenever I go, hey teens,
Yeah.
I just sitting on the stoop, huh?
This is a Josh at the preschool.
Back when I was your
Hello,
age.
fellow students.
Yeah. But whenever I was a kid and I would talk about like Batman stuff, everybody else was like, Batman whooped this guy's ass. And I would always kind of be like, well, the villain, that's what you for, right?
Yeah.
You go to see him fight the villain. And unless the villain's good, then Batman's not good. Then
Yeah.
the whole thing's a wash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably what hurt this movie too.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that you have one pretty good villain.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of started peppering other villains like that street gang that's just hanging out in an apartment.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. And then you have Rico or whatever trying to be kind of Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
You have the guy on the judge council that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously
Yeah.
he's speaking with a German accent and he helps the other guy so they can eradicate people
Yeah.
and all this shit. And you think, and just saying that on paper, street gang hanging out in an apartment, Nazis, Hannibal Lecter,
Yeah.
all together against Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
So that's great. And it just wasn't. It just wasn't.
Didn't execute it well.
But I will say this, and I don't know if I should save this for the Dredd episode. Whenever I watched Judge Dredd, I liked it more than the first time I watched it. And whenever I watched Dredd, I feel like I liked it a little bit less than
Interesting.
the first time I watched it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Time-
just kind of knew what was coming, and I was looking for the positives in the bad and looking for the negatives in the good. But it's definitely both were so fucking indicative of their time.
Yeah.
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 And I won't get into the Dread part why. Hopefully I'll remember that whenever we do it. But it's just weird to me. What was I supposed to be
Bad
before
guys.
I went out on a
Bad
ramble
guys.
there?
Yeah. Bad
The
guys.
bad guys sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never felt in danger. Nobody was
Yeah.
ever in
Yeah.
danger.
No.
Yeah. Nothing remotely interesting to me. I didn't even like the brother. I
Yeah.
didn't even like the
Yeah.
Rico story. I didn't.
It was okay
Yeah.
at best. Like you said, if it wasn't for his acting, it would have been completely terrible.
In a city where crime to me, and this also links back to the writing, in a city where like it's judges, poor people, and criminals.
Yeah.
No, that's it. There's no like, hey, I work for H&R Block. It's like you couldn't. This is the storyline. It had to be his brother. You're telling me like out there and like where everyone else is poor and a criminal, you couldn't find a mama type. It's like, like that would have been more interesting. But like, why is this so encapsulated? Like, why does he have to be like related to the judge? Like, you had plenty of options, so it just didn't interest me at
Star
all.
Wars,
Yeah.
Star Wars prequels all over. Everybody has to be related.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has to have their fingers in each other, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a city crawling with crime, we still gonna have a brother.
And again, if this had been the third movie in a series, like
Yeah.
I could have justified it because you
big
built
reveal.
other stuff up. It would have been a great reveal. But to put all of this like third movie shit in the first movie,
Yeah.
no, too much. You tried to do.
It's 1-6, and we are we're just
1 to 6?
1 to 6 or 1 to 5. Sorry,
Yeah,
fuck me in the math.
I thought we had one more.
Math has been hard for me lately. I used to use an Excel file. Now I just use a doc, and it's been rough. Movie wars problems. This is a brand new category.
Okay.
We have one for dystopian, right? Like dystopian track. But this was dystopian, but to me it was more cyberpunk than it is anything. So your move punk, to quote Clint Eastwood from Dirty Harry, but your move punk, how do we feel about this as a cyberpunk film? Because when I watched this, one thing I did say, and when I watched Dredd, I was thinking about the cyberpunk video game.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a lot of the cyberpunk aesthetic and things like that. How is it as a cyberpunk film?
I think it was fine because it had good source material to pull off of, and since they didn't just say fuck the source material like Kyle wanted to, they pulled some good stuff out of it, but I can't say it represents it well. So I am gonna go don't be judgy, because while it's okay, it even for the 90s was nothing. So yeah, it just felt like rehashed 80s tired tropes that tried to film it.
You said everything. I could make that one quick. It just it just feels like everything was big and clunky, and I feel like in like the cyberpunk video game, or like even steampunk stuff, everything is a little bit smoother at points. And this wasn't. It was just like they literally just went, just make the gun big. So it made a gun big. Make the motorcycle
even the robot
big.
wasn't cool.
No,
the robot was the most pathetic thing in the whole thing. Because it had armor, but everything that controlled it was exposed.
Yeah.
So
even Rob Schneider fucking was able to get that thing down
in the neck,
chewed through it. Like he chewed through it like a rat. And that's bullshit. Why even bring that big of a menacing beast out? And at least if you're going to do it that way, do it like Indiana Jones. Whenever the big giant Nazi was coming over to fight him, and he just pulled out his gun and shot him. I was like, do something like that where at least you're like, oh God, here comes a fight. Oh fuck, that wasn't a fight at all.
Instead of letting all the comedy rest on Sly's rewritten one-liners, like there's no embedded comedy, Did anybody else think, because I love Rob Schneider and SNL, whenever he fought the robot afterwards, I was thinking he was gonna go making copies. just fucking do it, man. This movie sucks. Just do one of your SNL things.
Not only that one-liner would have worked great considering they were making clones. And there he just
making copies.
Rico,
dude, that's such a missed opportunity. I forgot about the clones. That would have been huge. That would have made this movie. This would be 7-0. Every fucking category redefined if he says making copies.
Oh, it'd be like, what do you think about the costume design? Well, I mean, that one joke at the end was pretty goddamn
fucking
good.
Making copies. I mean,
he nailed it.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm gonna watch some old SNL now.
There you go.
So you said don't be judgy. Is that what you went?
Don't be judgy. It's
I hate to compare it to my favorite film of all time, RoboCop. But it's so funny how in 1987, they nailed so many, and the reason they did it was, and they didn't even put that much emphasis on the world. The world building wasn't huge, but they just did little things to kind of show you what kind of world it was. Like I'd buy that for $1 TV show that kind of runs through it. I think about when he goes to look at his old house and it's got the real estate robot. It's not a realtor, but it's a robot realtor. There's just little things they speckled in there. The interviews with citizens, after the massive cop acts of violence, they interview the hippie. Goes man. I mean, they just sprinkled in so many things to help you feel like you're in a world. And to me, this world's completely unexplored in Judge Dredd. I mean, and
yet they tried to do too much. There's too much explanation of the world and not enough at the same time.
This is what I learned writing my book with my agent. It was you're showing too much or you're telling too much, you're not showing enough. The difference between show and tell is so huge, and especially now I watch movies that way, but you're right. They told us a lot of things, but it would have been so much more visceral if they would have showed us.
Kind
of like RoboCop does, So don't be judgy.
I mean, if they're going to steal something, if you're making a movie like that, steal from RoboCop.
One of the greatest films of all time. And my favorite film of all time. If you guys didn't know.
Was RoboCop a box office flop? I feel like it was.
I think it barely broke even.
And then just got huge. I wonder how much money this movie made on the rental shelves.
Oh, it probably made a shit ton.
Sometimes I believe that's the reason why big fun, or at least smaller budget fun movies don't exist anymore
Yeah.
because you don't make a whole lot of movie. You don't make a whole lot of money off of streaming, and I think that's the reason why during the writer's strike and the actor's strike, the reason why like Netflix and Hulu and all that was like, we're not opening up our book because they make all their money off stock shares.
Yep.
And if they open their books and be like, hey, we're operating at a major loss, then people panic sell their stocks.
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have Netflix or HBO Max anymore. And I couldn't help but think some of these actors and filmmakers had to know this.
Oh, yeah.
Because since we've taken away like the rentals, the VHS, the DVDs, all that, that means there is no second stream of revenue. You make your movie, you put it in a theater, and if it doesn't make money, then it goes to streaming, and it really doesn't make money.
Yeah, you just hope Netflix will pay you a decent amount of money to.
And that's the reason why there's so many Judge Dredds, like basically on streaming now. Like anytime you watch an action movie now and you get done and you just go, okay.
Yeah.
And like there's no fucking meat with them taters. It's all starch, no protein.
Yeah.
And it just fucking sucks now. If there was a way to figure that out, please let me know. I've already said open up a vault, bring out an old film canister, and you'll make them $20 million. And you're like, no, you would lose at least 5. And I'm like, nah. So I have no idea how to fix this because I want crazy movies to come back. Like Dredd in 2012, pretty crazy movie.
Yeah.
And I guess it did a theatrical run and probably went into the, the last, the death rattle of Blockbuster and probably made some money.
Back when Netflix was still really shipping DVDs.
Exactly. And just stuff like that where, I mean, there was a couple of movies that I've watched in the past year or so. The Substance was definitely like a crazy movie that, 5 years ago wouldn't have been made or 6 or 7 years ago.
Well, I just saw The Monkey, and that was amazing.
Not
that
bad.
Was really
not bad.
Good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I do have a hatred of horror comedy
fair.
because they'll go heavy on the comedy. Just like this. They went heavy on comedy and not action.
Yeah.
Like the action that they did give you were kind of like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, here's 75 more jokes in between. I'm like, well, I don't believe there's any danger, so I don't believe any of the action.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with horror comedy. Even though The Monkey was pretty fun.
Yeah.
There was at one point I was sitting with my girl and I was just like, hey, I wish they would just stop fucking making jokes. I was like, just tear somebody's head off already and shut up about it.
I want to see an esophagus right now.
I want to see parts of the lower intestine.
Yeah.
Not all together, just bits and pieces.
I want to see what he had for breakfast. Still tucked, still tucked in the intestine.
I don't want it digested.
Well, we tried not to, but we were very judgy of Judge Dredd. And Sly, you're still my hero. I still love you, but
you fucked up.
But what did you do? What did you do? And if I would hate it if I tell people I'm a fan of Sly and they think of this movie first. Well, wasn't he Judge Dredd?
That bitch.
Yeah, that bitch. But we're gonna do Dredd next, and it's gonna be interesting to see. You can call it a remake or a reboot, but it's based completely on different source material. Yeah. It's almost a completely different movie, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But until then, I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
And I'm still Josh.
That's still Josh. Love y'all.
The Movie Wars.